Good evening, summoners, and welcome to Monday Night Customs. I'm your host, Cash.
And this is Sam. I know we have nothing better to do than to watch League of Legends when Worlds is going on. We just can't get enough of it. So today we're trying something new. We're only actually looking at one game today, and we're looking at that game in perhaps a little bit more detail, but we pulled out a game with a little bit of a different team comp than we usually see. So if you can flip over to the team comp overview, Cash, why don't you take it away?
Well, I hate both of these team comps. On the Team Blue, we've got this aggressive 3 Bruiser plus an MF to sort of clean up in the back end, and then the Morgana, who sort of provides a black shield to make sure the Bruisers can keep attacking. On the Team 2, we have sort of the standard build of 1 tank, 1 Juggernaut, 1 support, 1 AP, 1 AD. Honestly, I don't like either of these teams because on Team 2, we've got the Amumu and the Jarvan, who I don't think synergize very well. And then on Team 1, we've got a Renekton, and I've never been a big fan of Renekton.
Why do you not like Team 2, Cash?
I just think that when Amumu ults and then Jarvan ults, you're just, it's desynergized, right? Amumu likes to do that big ult, CC a bunch of people in a huge area, and then Jarvan likes to create that sort of cataclysm mess that sort of locks down a good number of champions. But Amumu can't really get in there once Jarvan's in there, unless he's saved his bandage. I also don't like sort of like the double sort of health damage comps from the Karma and the Brand working with the Jinx. I think you need a little bit more burst to sort of deal with that Bruiser comp that's coming from Team 1.
Yeah, that's a good point. Team 2 is a little low damage. Look at these comps, Team 1 triple bruiser. It really depends on the outcome of the game is really going to depend on Team 2's effectiveness to get those bruisers off. And Karma is a key pick here, who has the ability to peel these champions slightly, but not greatly. Not a Janna, but also a solid character to peel against those triple bruisers. So let's take a look at clip 1, and Cash, why don't you take this one away?
So starting off, you can already see that, blue team is suffering a little bit. They're down in HP, red team's sort of got the pressure, their minion wave is about to crash. Nasus is coming back at full HP after dying, and you can see Nasus trying to farm. The Renekton over pushes, but then the Jarvan goes in, but thankfully he doesn't take any tower shots, but then the Amumu follows up. Oh man. The Nasus goes in, and the Nasus is just sort of dying over here, but guess what? Everybody's low, and they're taking tower shots, which means that Viego can just come in, pop off, and just steal 3 kills. Viego takes. Just comes in, kills people, doesn't get the kill on the Brand or even an auto attack, so he can't turn into that ghost, but this was supposed to be red team's win, and it just turned into blue team's win. What do you think went wrong, Sam?
Yeah, so red team, I think forcing a little hard here. If I roll the clip one more time, it starts off with Jarvan overextending, doesn't even land the knockup, I think, and then followed by a Mumu taking a couple turret shots as well. So there's the Jarvan going in, a Mumu taking 1 turret shot. You see the Morgana gets picked, but the Amumu Q going back in, and importantly, pause right here. The Viego was actually level 5 at the start of the fight. He's still level 5 right here. He's going to hit 6 after 1 more kill. I think he hit 6 off that kill right there. And so even though he's not 6 before the fight, because they dive him, he gets resets off. And then the MF hits 6 there, gets a small ulti, but still hits 6 regardless. There's the Renekton hitting 6 as well. So really just bad timing from Red. I think they were probably trying to find a fight where blue team was low and not hitting 6 yet. but unfortunately the fight doesn't work out for them, and almost end up outplaying themselves, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's sort of here that we can sort of see why I don't like this setup from Red Team. I mean, Karma is great for sort of cutting back and sort of poking in, but Jinx just isn't doing enough damage. She's too much of a late game champion to sort of deal with these bruisers. You can sort of see that Jinx is throwing down. She's getting a lot of auto attacks in, but it's just doing nothing. The Nasus can just sort of walk up to her, and it's just not enough.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, which is Jinx is a pretty low damage carry early on. Compared to someone like MF, she just can't get the same damage output early on. She really just needs at least Kraken to start being effective, and she really starts hitting her stride at 2 items, 3 items, 4 items, 5 items. And that's when she really picks up the pace over MF. Brand and Karma really being the only 2 early game damage outputs for Red Team. But they're kind of just cooldown focused. So the second their cooldowns are gone, not a lot they can play off of. So let's take a look at clip number 2 and see what happens in the next fight.
All right, so we can see the blue team is a little bit low in HP. They're grabbing their health relics. We see that red team is sort of pushing up. There's 3 of them alive right now, and all 3 of them are pretty healthy. They're taking a little bit of bush control. Karma's getting quite a good amount of poke. Jinx tries to get that kill. Oh no, Jinx, what are you doing? Like,
no.
Look at that. Just going for that health relic, and he just, man, who is this Jinx player?
Who is this guy?
Like, sacrificing
Viego's just getting resets now. Triple knockup.
Look at that.
Oh man. Oh man.
Triple kill.
Oh man.
Quadra kill. Huh? I guess it was just a triple kill, but 4 of them died. Karma's the only one left surviving. Again, it's just like, they have everything, right? I mean, why even fight for that health relic?
So okay, so look at this real quick. I'm gonna pause it right before she goes in for the health relic. So I think the Morgana gets picked early, right? Let me actually check here. But so if I pause, let me pause and go back for a second. Jinx is very low on mana, so that's actually a problem with Jinx as an early game pick. Is even though Jinx's run Presence of Mind, you get a couple autos off, you get a couple abilities off. You're looking, your mana bar is not healthy early on, and so in terms of early game damage output, that really limits your ability to kill these bruisers, because generally you need to be in candid form instead of minigun form. And yes, the Jinx is overextending here, but it's a definite weakness of the character as well, which is just that her early game is pretty gated by mana. And then right here, it's just the second Viego gets one reset, it's done. And Jinx is the only constant DPS for Red Team. Brand and Karma just are not going to do anything to a triple bruiser. And especially, Viego is just too slippery. There, he's dodging the stun right there. It really is just nothing Red Team can do after Jinx walks up there. Let's take a look at the last clip and see what happened here. So I'm going to pause here and just take a look at the items. So one thing I wanted to focus on is notice this Karma build. And notice the amount of anti-healing Red Team has. So you've got a Morello, you got an anti-healing orb out of Brand. You've got a Morello out of Karma, and then you've got a Bramble out of Amumu. So first things first, I do not think the Karma should be going Liandry's here, especially into a triple bruiser. I think you're looking at a lot of value off of Moonstone, and you can prevent a lot of healing. You can prevent a lot of the resets just through AoE healing. And then secondly, Karma is perhaps the best user in the entire game for Chemtech Putrefier, making it just so cost efficient. Someone like Amumu, he's not going to be a target for these bruisers to attack. And so Viego, Nasus, Renekton, they're not going to be autoing this Amumu, and so his Bramble is really kind of gone to waste, so to speak. And then Brand, while he is a good target to build this item, they really just need damage out of him. And so I just wanted to point out that some item inefficiencies here potentially, limiting red team's ability to fight.
Yeah, and also I think that the Amumu should have gone a Warmogs here.
Warmogs, I think, yeah,
Just
he went a Sunfire. Interesting point, yeah.
so here we can see blue team's kind of got the advantage. They're pushing forward. We've got a little bit of poke. A snowball hits, but they're not going to go or follow this up. That Jarvan is up there. He's taking a little bit of damage. But there goes that Karma. I mean, she stepped out a little bit too far on the right side. We've got Amumu sort of fighting. Amumu gets his ult off, but, MF is ulti on top of the Amumu. Jarvan is fighting over there, but it's just not enough. You can see this Jinx trying to get this kill, but unfortunately, Morgana's got that stopwatch, and it's just a steamroll.
Scumbag Nasus stealing the pentakill.
Yeah.
Toxic. Actually, another thing I wanted to point out is the Viego here actually has a collector. It's collector plus Kraken. It's a really interesting build. But I think one thing I just wanted to bring up is just these ideas of these team comps, because I think a lot of our games we see this. I would say red team's comp is pretty common. I think if I look at most picked, Jinx, Brand, and Amumu have to be probably the top 10 in terms of most picked. And I think there's definite weaknesses to them. Jinx, one of them being her mana, is pretty gating, and her early damage is low. So these early fights, Jinx can get lethal tempo stacked, but she will just run out of mana, and she'll have to get close range, and she just won't do that much damage. Someone like an MF, someone like a Caitlyn, they're just going to offer a lot more damage early. And then something like a Brain here, it's we're seeing that it's susceptible to characters that can dive on it. So when you think about some of these comps we have, when you have two really beefy front lines, or maybe even 2.5 or 3, that's when Brand starts getting a lot of value. But into triple bruisers, he has good value, but without peel and without the ability to fight front to back, his character, the character just can't stand up into these beefier boys.
Yeah, I mean, what could Red Team have done better this time? So let's say these are the comps, this is what they've got. How could they have won this game?
I think Red Team, to be frank, I still think Red Team might have been slightly favored. They really do outrange Blue Team. Now, Blue Team has a just a single snowball to engage with, and that's really not a good engage. I would say Red Team, they almost outplayed themselves, right? So early on, they were just overextending. I think they needed to slow the game down and allow the Jinx and Brand to scale. So while the Nasus does scale, that's really the only scaling. And everyone else is just kind of finding value off of fights. So I think if Red Game slowed the game down, allowed themselves to just use the Karma, Brandon, Jinx to poke out the sustainless blue team, they would have had a shot if they played a slower, more controlled game. And more importantly, we just saw a lot of misplays here, and blue team's comp is just extremely punishing. So not a very easy game to play if you're red team here. So with that in mind, blue team takes the win. Going to fast forward here to the end. Cash, any thoughts on the outcome or the games tonight?
Well, like I said, I don't really like either of the comps. I'm not a big fan of the triple bruiser. I'm not a big fan of APMF. It worked out here because Viego was able to sort of punish the team for overextending. I think Red Team could have just kept bullying the Nasus. Early game, they were able to take a couple of kills off of the Nasus, and they just should have just kept using that and just waited for Jinx to just outscale the enemy team. And just keep focusing down that Nasus and preventing him from becoming a late game threat. When it came to Red Team, I think, I think it was more about misplaying and a little bit of clumsiness, a little bit of difficulty in communication probably was a factor in there. Let's see what happens tonight. Today.
Yeah. All right, guys. Appreciate everyone tuning in. That's all the time we have. We'll see you guys on the Rift shortly.